Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining in live, and thank you so much for choosing to spend this Monday evening together with me. Really glad to see you all here. So, for those who are new here to this channel, my name is Nadia. I'm a software engineer living and working in London. And sorry, I'm just checking in that everything's working. Cool. So I'm Nadia. I'm a self-taught software engineer living in London. And a couple of days ago, I think last week, I announced on my LinkedIn profile that I would be glad to review a couple of profiles for software engineers, either aspiring software engineers or those already in the industry. And the motivation behind this idea was to show people how to make the most of their LinkedIn profile. I think that a lot of people don't really understand the power of LinkedIn. They dismiss it as being lame. To be fair, in a lot of aspects, LinkedIn is still lacking in its functionality and all of that. All of that is true. However, this still can be a very powerful tool if you want to develop your career, if you want to find new job prospects, if you want to connect to people and just find various opportunities for your career or just your personal life. So for me personally, once I really understood how to use LinkedIn, a lot of things changed. I've started getting a lot more connection requests, job propositions, and then people also started reaching out to me with different ideas for collaborations. All of this has happened just because I've started using LinkedIn more professionally and also I think just more actively. So today we've got 11 profiles up for review. Let me know in the chat if you have submitted your profile for review and you're here live. All right, we can start with the first profile. Okay, I see a message from Bradley. I haven't submitted mine, but I'm feeling brave enough to include it if you have time. If we have time at the end, I think, why not? I was thinking that we can do maybe 30 or 45 minutes of this today. So depending on how it goes. All right, so okay, let's kick it off with the first profile. This is the profile that Abdullah submitted. So Abdullah is an IT engineer based in Morocco. So the way I want to do this is to kind of look at the profile from the top to the bottom, commenting on the most significant parts of the profile, and just sharing my opinion on how those profiles can be improved. So one thing here that immediately just jumps to mind for me is that I'm seeing that the background image here, this one, you see this gray thing, the background image is missing. So I wouldn't say that you have to have an image there, but I think that by this point in time, by 2022, it's pretty standard that everybody has an image there. There are different ways what you can put there, but I think that this is something that is just expected more or less. So in terms of visuals, LinkedIn is not really the prettiest of platforms. So if you can include more visuals into your profile, it's better. So here we have a profile picture, which is great. All like if your profile doesn't have a picture yet, you should definitely include it. And then the background image, you can basically be creative here. You can, if you have a website, you can just short like a small graphic with your website, with your product that you're selling, maybe with your technologies, or you can just include your name and the tech stack that you're using or something like that. Some people also include things like their, just like a stock picture of their city where they're based, or maybe their tools that they're using. And by tools, I mean like a laptop or an office space, something like that. So it can be basically anything that you can feel like it, but overall better to have something than not to have anything. So the next thing that I'm looking at usually when I'm looking at a LinkedIn profile is this part, so your headline. So this here says that Abdullah is an IT engineer. It doesn't really say whether he's looking for, and also Abdullah, if you're here today, you can let us know. So it doesn't really say whether Abdullah is looking for a job or not. If you're looking for a job, this is the place where you can mention it. So it just says what your job is and kind of what your technology is, what your specification is. Then I think that it's all right, can be improved, but let's look further what else we have here. So the About section, this is a section that I think that is actually one of the most important sections of your LinkedIn profile. This is the place where you can tell your story, and this is the place where you can actually be creative. So what a lot of people do here is they copy their experience section and they put it in the About section. This is actually not a great use of the space. So this is a place where you can show a little bit more of your personality, where you can show your biggest achievements in your profession. Also, if you're looking for a job, this is the place where you can mention that you're looking for a job and what kind of role you're looking for. So in this case, we see that it's just very short. It just says embedded systems, wireless sensors, networks, cloud computing, IT. I think that this can be definitely improved. I've heard people recommending writing about 1,500 to 2,000 words in the section. I don't think that there is like a hard limit or, like a specific number of words that you can use here, but definitely use the space to attract the attention of somebody who's coming to your profile. Because in this case, I'm opening the profile. This About section doesn't really tell me anything specific about the person. So definitely something that should be improved. So then we're scrolling down, we see the activity section. This is the section that I always check when I'm looking at the profile of somebody. For me, it's interesting to see what the person is actually doing on LinkedIn, what kind of activities they have, what they're posting, how they're interacting with the platform. So we can see here whether Abdullah is active or not. Okay, I just got a message that I have misspoken. So when I was talking about the About section, I mentioned the limit of words, how many words you can use. So I meant to say 1,500 characters, not words, because you can imagine that 1,500 words, it would be a huge About section. So sorry for that. Okay, so let's see whether Abdullah is active on LinkedIn. We see that he's reposting some posts. He also published something about his first experience with blockchain. That is pretty cool. In general, this is a good place where you can showcase the projects you're working on and kind of tell your future potential employer or your other sorts of connections what kind of things you're interested in. So I see that Abdullah is active. Maybe, like for me personally, the advice that you will hear over and over is that you can probably be more active on LinkedIn and be creating more content on LinkedIn. But I think that we will talk about this in more detail later today. Then we're coming into the experience section. Experience section is, I think, kind of the most, I think, that like the foundational section of any LinkedIn profile. So if you're thinking of in the paradigm of a resume, this is where kind of the meat of the profile is. Here what I would like to see in this section is a little bit more details about each of the positions that Abdullah had. Here we see that a couple of positions, they have some details, but they are in French, so I'm not sure what they say. And the rest don't really say anything. The last one kind of has generic information, so it's not really saying anything much to me either. So the way you should think of this section is, again, as in your resume, you should emphasize the achievements that you've had in each of those jobs. So if in this position you have achieved certain successes, or breakthroughs, or you have managed to have some impact on your company's strategy or goals, this is some place where you can mention it. But definitely add more information here, add keywords. LinkedIn is basically, you can think of LinkedIn as a search engine as well. So use keywords specific to your situation. So in the case of programmers, usually these things just to use the tech stack. So here it mentions PHP, but the other positions don't really mention anything. Then we have education. It looks all right. We have licenses, certifications. This thing is actually pretty useful. If you have taken any certifications on LinkedIn or outside of LinkedIn, please do mention them here. They improve the ranking of your profile on LinkedIn search, so don't ignore this. Then we have the skills section. We have 19 skills. Great. This says that he actually passed LinkedIn skill assessment, which is great. It also helps your profile rank higher. But the thing that I'm seeing here that can be improved is actually what Abdullah could do is actually to ask his colleagues or people who have worked with him to endorse his skills in those technologies. This will also improve the strengths of your profile. So you can reach out to your colleagues and ask them to do that. And then interests, I don't think those things are that important. So overall, I think that the profile has some solid start, but definitely things can be improved. So what I would focus on is writing a really nice, interesting about section, focusing on your story, your interests, what your goals are, and then adding more information to your experience section, so that for any future employer it would be easy to understand what exactly you did in all of your previous jobs. Let me just check the chat quickly. Oh, I see that Abdullah is actually online. Yeah, I hope this was useful for you. Let us know if you have any more questions. And I will be moving on to the next profile. Next up, we have Davis, Cody Davis. So one thing that immediately jumps to me, again, there is no background image, so I won't repeat myself, but it's better to have something here. So what do we see in the headline? JavaScript software developer, React seeking full-time job. This is actually pretty good. It's very clear. We see that Cody is looking for a job, and we see the tech stack that he's using. This is good. Also, we see that he's open to work. This is also a good thing to have if you're actively looking for a job. It makes it easier for a recruiter to see whether you are job hunting or not. Then I see that he is open to React developer roles. Very good. So this part I actually quite liked about Cody's profile. So it says that during an overseas deployment, I found a book in the ship library called Learn Python the Hard Way. After reading the first couple of chapters, I found myself hooked and unable to set the book down. Now I'm a software developer, obsessed with React.js, passionate to learn every day. I get excited about solving new problems, and I'm currently looking to contribute my skills to a team. And then there is a way of how to get in touch with Cody. I quite like this about section. I like that it tells a story, and definitely when you're writing your about section, do try to focus on telling your story. So who you are, where you're coming from in terms of your background in tech. If you are a career switcher like Cody is, this is a place where you can tell your story. I also used my profile about section in the profile to tell my story of how I entered tech. So this is quite good. You can spice this up a little bit with... so the problem with this section is that there are very limited ways of how you can style it. So you can add emojis or bullet points or something like that to break it up a little bit. But overall, I think that this is a very solid start. Then let's look further down. We see education that Cody studied at a Code Fellows. I assume it's some course or maybe a bootcamp. So, and he lists the tech stack that he was learning. This is good. This is good for both humans who will be looking at your profile and then for the search algorithm as well. We see skills. We have endorsements for the skills, which is great. If you can get more endorsements, this is always a good thing. What else? One thing that, the profile is missing right now, and this would probably be a little bit, not a red flag, but this would concern the recruiter, I would assume. There is a section experience is not here. And I would guess that this is because Cody didn't, that Cody is a career switcher, so his previous experience is probably, maybe he thinks that it's not relevant. Also, Cody, if you're online, you can correct me. But in any case, do make sure to take some time to add the experience section. So if your previous experience was, I would guess, in the military, so you can add this experience as well, and just mention what you are doing. And then if you're currently not working, maybe you're currently just studying, or if you're still working and studying at the same time. What I did when I was initially looking for my first developer job, I created this kind of temporary job experience section where I added that my position was a self-taught software engineer, or maybe like I was learning to code or something like that. And there, in my achievements, I added that that I completed this many courses, that I built some apps, that I that I had a blog where I was blogging about my learning experience. So this is something that you can do. And also, if you are if you're listening to this and you're also in this similar position, you can create this kind of temporary position where you're just a learner. And then once you find your first job, you can just remove it from your profile. This is what I did. It worked pretty well for me because remember that a recruiter only has a couple of minutes maybe to look at your profile. So for them, it's very nice to make it very clear that you're a career switcher, that you're now learning full-time, and this will tell them something about you. So yeah, this is something that I think that would be, for me personally, this would be the first thing that I would improve here. What else? Let's look at activity. One thing that I've noticed is missing, maybe I'm not seeing it, is, so if you are a self-taught or if self-taught developer, or if you went to a bootcamp, you won't really have you won't have a degree, obviously, but you will probably have a portfolio of projects, right? And I'm not seeing it here. So I would expect to see it somewhere here. So I would ideally want to see it here. So I would like to see the address of Cody's website where his projects are displayed. Because if I'm a recruiter, I see somebody who's looking for a junior developer job, I want to see whether they can code or not. Maybe a GitHub link, something like that. I'm not seeing it here. Yeah, so it's not here. Let's see the activity. So we see that Cody is pretty active. Oh, that's me. Pretty active in commenting. So there are some posts about his learning. I think this is nice. Also, Cody, you can actually highlight your posts on your profile. So if you open your post, if you open your post yourself here, you will see an option to feature this post on top of your profile. And then it will be displayed on your profile. So if you have articles that you have written, this is something that you can do with them. Let's see whether there are other posts. Oh, see, I have been building my own portfolio this last couple of months, couple of weeks. And there is a link to Cody's portfolio. Oh, that's pretty cool. So this is what I would expect to see displayed very kind of prominently on your profile. So make sure to add this link somewhere, maybe in your about section, just to make it really easy for a recruiter to see it. What you can also do, if you add this experience part that I mentioned, like experience of being a self-taught engineer or a learner or whatever, student, you can add it there as well. So one thing I think that not everybody knows is that if you have, and this is my profile right now, so if you have this job experience, so I've created this kind of artificial job experience of being a public speaker. What you can actually do, you can add your kind of things that you have done, but then you can also add media, right? So if you add media, you would be able to add links to URL links. Then you can add pictures or videos or anything like that. So once you have added your experience of being a self-taught engineer to your profile, you can actually add a link to your portfolio, and it will be displayed in this nice graphic way here. So for instance, what I have here, as you can see, these are all links to the projects that I've been working on in my job at Intercom. So for instance, this is a link to a page on Intercom's blog. So it makes it really easy for a recruiter to see what you have been building and working on, but also it just makes your profile look much better with the pictures. So this is something that I would definitely add as well. So best of luck. If you can get a little bit more of the stuff here, a little bit more about your experience, more keywords, and definitely continue creating content, writing blog posts. I think that this is something that will definitely help you learn. And now I'll check the chat again. All right, next up we have Jahid, front-end developer, develops and builds website, React.js, JavaScript. So I think it's pretty obvious that Jahid has spent a lot of time improving his profile. Looks very professional. I like this picture, this background image here, and this is an example of what I was talking about. That you can just have your name, you can have some professional image. And then your contact details. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like you don't need to hire a designer to do that, but you can see immediately it makes the profile look so much better. Okay, let's see. So one great thing that Jahid has here is he has the featured section where he has his resume, then a link to his GitHub, then some posts and updates. This is something that you can also do as a aspiring software developer. If you don't have a website, just put your GitHub here. You see it looks really nice, and also it makes it very easy for a recruiter to see what you've been up to. Okay, so the about section. Jahid is an enthusiastic learner with experience in React.js who loves exploring front-end web development, passionate about computer science, constantly experimenting with new technology. Regardless of the situation, he always accomplishes his tasks on time, and he loves to play football. Overall, I think it's a good start. I personally prefer it when the about section is written in the first person, so it says that I am an enthusiastic learner. But this is a matter of preference. I like the fact that you mention your hobbies as well. This is actually, I think, that the only place on LinkedIn where this is appropriate to mention your hobby. I've heard the piece of advice that you need to mention something specific. So like you don't just say that, like, for instance, like I like sports, but you say that you like to follow a specific basketball team or something like that. So you kind of start from general and you go to specific. I think it works very well. And then in general, if you are writing the about section, try to add a little bit more concrete exampgive So we should try to stay away from just fluffy words and buzzwords, and give a little bit more examples of what we mean when we say something. So here, for instance, if you're saying that that you have experience with React.js, maybe you can mention how many apps you have built, or maybe how successful they were. and things like that. And then it says that you're experimenting with new technology. Maybe you can mention which specific tools you're learning, which stack you're interested in, and things like that. Remember what I said previously, that LinkedIn is a search engine like Google. So if you're using keywords, it always helps your profile become stronger and rank higher. So what do I mean by becoming stronger? I mean that if somebody is going on LinkedIn, a recruiter, and they're looking for a front-end developer who works with React, you want your profile to be, on the first page or the second page and not on the 100th page, because there are millions of React developers on LinkedIn. So you do want to optimize your profile for the search engines. So make sure that you have the keywords there. Here we see that Jahid has added one internship experience. I'm not sure if this is all of the experience. I think that can it be all of the experience? Maybe it is. In this case, it's fine, but still, please add more details. What did you do during this internship? What projects you built and what you have achieved? I think that it would make it look much nicer, and it will just say more to the recruiter. Education. With education, here it's correctly filled out. Oh, okay. Actually, Jahid is still in the university, so it makes sense that he has one internship experience. So in this case, still add more information. So with education, what is important, sometimes people forget to add the end date of their degree. And what it leads to is, if the recruiter is actually looking for current students, they might come up with, come up across your profile and you're not actually a student. So this is a little bit confusing. So if you haven't updated your profile in a while, but you have already graduated, just go back there and update the date when you finished college. Okay, next up are licenses and certifications. Really nice that you have added them here. Again, as many real licenses and certifications as you have, just go and add them to your profile. It shows that you're interested in learning and improving yourself, which is always good. And then the skills, you have passed in LinkedIn skill assessment. This is definitely something that I think every software engineer should do. I have read that people who have passed skill assessments on LinkedIn are actually 30% more likely to receive incoming requests from recruiters. So it does help your profile rank higher. So this is worth the time. Actually, I have taken some of those assessments. I think it takes around 15 minutes to pass them. So I think that at least you can do like HTML, CSS, and the simple ones. And also we have a recommendation. This is actually the first profile today that has recommendations from others. This is very important for your profiles. If you can get recommendations, I suggest you do. The way sometimes people do it is that you go to somebody and you give a recommendation to them, and then you ask them to reciprocate and write a recommendation for you as well. So this also improves the strength of your profile and just tells a little bit more about you as a professional. And we have the courses, then we have projects. Projects is actually an underused section, I think, especially if you are a self-taught developer. If you're just starting out, you will likely have some projects that you might display here. Do make sure to add more information here. I think that projects are very important for software developers. If you have side projects that you have been building on weekends, this is some place where you can display them. And there are links to the websites that you have built. This is actually very good. And yeah, that's about it. So overall, again, a good start. I think that it clearly has a signs of very professional profile, but do improve the things that I have mentioned, and best of luck. I'm seeing a question about where to submit my LinkedIn. I'm seeing that it's actually taking me much longer to review a single profile than I thought. So I don't think I will be accepting any LinkedIn profiles for review right now, because I still have a lot to go through. But hopefully the advice that I'm sharing will be useful for you, and you can apply it to your own profile on your own. Okay, the next profile is from Noor. It says it has a picture, it has a background profile. It says that she is open for relocation on a global level. I think this is a very I think it's kind of an incomplete headline, because it doesn't really say what your profession is. So I see that you're open for relocation, but it's not immediately clear for me what you do. So if you can add just a couple of words describing your specialty, whether you are, your stack or something like that, I think this would help a lot. The experience section. So for instance, again, I think that this is a similar problem. There is very little information about the current position. So I would be curious to know what you have achieved in your current position, what exactly you have been doing. And then the other positions have a little bit more. But generally what I see is missing is metrics. Yeah, so see, you're mentioning that you improved continuously based on feedback, then you commenced user testing, and then you implemented programming concepts such as MVC. So what I would try to rephrase this as is to try to think of the projects that you worked on and some specific achievements that you have managed to achieve. So for instance, whether the project that you were working on improved some metrics at your company. So it's very hard for me to say without knowing the specifics of the company, but think of numbers. And this is what I usually share with people. In your resume, you should always focus on numbers. So focus not on what you have been doing, but what you have done and what you have achieved. And I think that this is something that is missing from this profile. Again, more information about the positions, but numbers are missing. So what is also missing is the about section. So do fill it out when you have time. Use this as a chance to tell your story. So here, I think that what's relevant is to think of the principle of the inverted pyramid that can be brought over from journalism. And this is a principle that applies so well to many spheres of life. So try to focus on what is if you think of the inverted pyramid, think of what is the most important thing about you. So what defines you? What is the thing that you want somebody to learn about you? And just use this as the beginning of your about section of your story. And then add more details about your goals, about your interests, about your achievements. But please use this opportunity to tell your story, because I think that this is the place that makes you most human, and this is the place that would want the recruiter to connect to you if they see your profile. Okay, going down, we see the education, we see volunteering, really nice. If you have ever done any kind of volunteering, please make sure to add it. This is something that adds some additional information to your profile about who you are as a person outside of coding. I think this is valuable as well. And we have skills. We don't really have any endorsements. So it would help, I think, to add maybe more skills and get some more endorsements. The honors here, also great. If you have any awards, please add them. There is a special section for them. Languages and interests. So overall, I think that this profile is missing quite a lot of information. For me personally, it is a little bit confusing. I'm not really sure what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve, whether you're looking for a job. I guess you are, but I'm not really sure what kind of job. So I hope that these tips are useful and they will help you improve your profile. Best of luck. Moving on, we're going to the next profile. This is Catalin. I think that Catalin mentioned that, I'm not sure if you're here, but I think you mentioned that you have spent a lot of time working on your profile. So this one will be probably challenging for me. I can immediately see a very professional picture, a very professional background image with a website. It says that you will relocate. Very nice headline, software engineer, JavaScript, MongoDB. So it mentions all of the technology that you know and work with. Then it mentions what you talk about. This actually means that you have the creator mode on, and this is something that you can all turn on your profile if you are planning to blog and post more. And it says that you're open to work and you're providing services. So this is also nice. Featured section is used. We have links to the projects that Catalin has achieved. We have the portfolio. We can go there and check it out. Really nice. So there is work, there are projects, the way to contact. Very good. I like the fact that it's displayed so prominently here. I see that Catalin is active on LinkedIn. This is a very strong sign always. About section. Let's see. So I'm a full stack software engineer specializing in deploying scalable web solutions. I'm coding and learning, but I hate selling myself, so let me sell myself. I come from a very non-traditional path to development, no CS degree, and I started programming later in my life. I was a volunteer coordinator, an equities trader, and now I can code. And then a little bit more of a background story. So honestly, I like this. This is really cool that you are telling your story, and this is exactly what I want people to do. You can add a little bit more here. You can add the links to you can kind of include the links to your website and your apps or your blog if you have it here as well. So if you are currently looking for a job, this is something that you can also mention in the beginning of your profile. Maybe you can also mention a little bit more of your specific achievements in coding. For instance, what kind of websites you have already built. If you have built them for real clients, maybe I should go down and see a little bit more about your experience. Okay, so you have listed your previous experience from different professions, which is good. However, I think that you can still add a little bit more information here. So, for instance, equity trader, I trade for now until a better opportunity can be found. I think that it can be rephrased. So, equity trading actually sounds pretty exciting. So maybe you can think of what specifically you have achieved while you were a trader. What are the things that you are proud of? Is there anything from this job that you think is something that you can be, boast to somebody about? So is there anything cool that you have done in your job as an equity trader or volunteer coordinator? Is there anything, that you have learned there? Any cool achievement, anything like that? So you're mentioning skills, but I think that it would be nice to add maybe a little bit more spice to that. And this part is actually pretty well built out. So you have the keywords, which is nice. The applications. You can also add the links to the applications here as media attachments. So this is an example, like here. So you can try to do that. It will make the profile look a little bit better. Education, there are license and certifications. If you take any more, add them here as well. The skills, very good that you have asked people or other people have endorsed you for your skills. This is something that immediately makes your profile much stronger. And what else? The activity. So we can see that Catalin is active on LinkedIn, which is always good. So so I see that you're posting, you're announcing your job search. This is good. Also, you are posting your own content, which is great as well. So I think that why people sometimes are afraid to start posting on LinkedIn because they don't really know what to post about. I think that an easier way to start would be just to repost someone else's content with your own takes, maybe like a sentence or two. So why do you actually need to post on LinkedIn? Again, it improves the strength of your profile. It helps you come up not only in the search, but also just in the feed of people who might be interested. So if you are able to write engaging content and post like interesting updates on your LinkedIn profile, I would encourage you to do that. And this is something that really helped me improve my own profile so much. So yeah, overall, Catalin, you were right. You have a very good profile. It's very hard for me to roast it in any serious fashion. So best of luck on your job search. All right, the next profile is Amanian from Beirut. Picture, background, about section. I always had a vision of making a difference, and being a software developer gives me the ability to transfer this vision into technologies with great impact. I have a passion for continuous learning and problem solving. I am familiar with a variety of programming languages. Through my work as experienced statistical investigator, I had the chance to survey and interact with a large number of people, which enhanced my ability to communicate effectively. And if you come across my profile, I would love to connect and learn more about opportunities at your organization. So Amani, I really like how you structured this. I like the fact that you mentioned your kind of overarching ambitions. So you say that you have always had the vision of making a difference, right? And you're kind of circling back to how a software engineering job will help you achieve that. I really love that. Another thing that you are doing here that I noticed and I wanted to talk about today is the importance of mentioning how the skills are transferable. So you mentioned that you have experience working as a statistical investigator, right? So you worked there for 7 years. So one thing that people sometimes do is they try to dismiss this experience and just not mention it at all, which I think is a mistake. You should try to see how your experience in that job actually can help you become a better programmer and what skills you already have that you can just bring over to this new job. So here you mentioned that you have had experience with interacting with a lot of people, so you have good communication skills. This is great. For any other career switchers who are listening to this and watching this, think of what skills you have really honed in your current job. So, I don't know your current job, so it's hard for me to say exactly what skills are really developed, but probably there is a skill that is crucial to your success in this job. So think of whether this skill can be transferred to the field of technology. And very often different skills can, and this is something that you should use to your advantage. So really good job doing that. I would add maybe a little bit more about what your specific interests are in terms of opportunities. So you're saying that you want to learn more about your opportunities at your organization. Can you mention what specifically you're looking for? So what kind of jobs? So I see that you're aspiring software developer. You can mention you're looking for an internship, a job, with which kind of language, doesn't matter, whether you have preferences, whether it's a remote job, whether it's local. Just getting a little bit more information here I think would help. So there we have the certificates of participation in a computer science course. This is actually pretty nice. Then Mani is posting that she got a skill badge for an object-oriented programming. This is also good. Your experience as a statistical investigator, here I would add a little bit more about what exactly you were doing there and what you achieved. Again, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but please focus on the numbers and your concrete achievements. Education, licenses, skills. Here, again, please try to get other people who know your skills to endorse you. What I would like to see here is to see some proof of your some demonstration of the coding project that you have submitted, that you have completed. So a link to your GitHub profile, your portfolio, if you have it, anything like that. This would be very interesting for me as a recruiter to see, because recruiters very often, they want to see whether you have actually done any coding, and they want to see your actual skills. And this is something that you should definitely mention. Okay, let's see the activity really quickly. Yeah, again, I see that Amani is active on LinkedIn. It's good. I think that recruiters want to see people who are using the platform and not just like that resume page, but actually engaging. So great job. I hope those tips were helpful, and I wish you best of luck with finding your first job. Okay, next up we have Benson. So Benson actually has added his website right here. This is, if you see this on some profiles and you don't have this option on your profile, what you need to do is you need to turn on the creator mode on your LinkedIn profile, and then you will have this option of adding a website. So there is a link to the website. Very nice profile, a very nice website. The skills, experience, and things that Benson has built. Amazing, really good profile. Moving on here. Oh, this is actually a great example of a way to fill out the experience section. I love this. So if you see, practically each line is a numeric way to express someone's achievements. So produced an updated website to facilitate 1,000 daily visitors. Refine and upgrade existing software to improve performance by 100%. Determine job priorities for up to 5 projects simultaneously. So this is a good example. Please refer to Benson's profile for examples of what you can add to your experience section. And I see that the same approach is used in other experiences as well. Really great stuff. Can't add much more to this. I think a lot of people really struggle coming up with numbers, but I think that you really nailed it here. Education, volunteering. Oh, you actually also volunteer at Cody of Future. That's nice. Licenses and certifications. Again, a lot of them. Really good, really strong stuff. Endorsements for coding skills, recommendations. 6 recommendations. This is great. So actually, if you can get more, like if anyone listens to this, if you don't have recommendations on your profile, try to get them. They really make a huge difference to your profile. And then projects, a lot of them, links to projects, really cool. So overall, hard for me to come up with any roasting here. I see that Benson is also very active on LinkedIn, posting and engaging with other people. Yeah. So it's hard for me to come up with anything at all to say. You know what? I don't have anything to say. It's a really good profile. So, congrats. Okay, moving on to Dominic. So, one thing that I will immediately say is that there is no picture. I have heard statistics that not having a picture really ruins the ranking of your profile. So, this would be the first thing that I change. Add a picture, basically. Okay, about section. Hey, I'm Don, a full stack software developer. I'm never happier than when I get the chance to learn something new. I'm focusing on Java. My current work involves API database work in Java, infrastructure as code, front ends in TypeScript and Express. I've also worked with React, Next.js, single-page applications, microservice architecture. Outside of my job, I try to pay back some of the support and good luck I had when making my own career, transition to tech. I also do this via Cody of Future. So again, a fellow Cody of Future volunteer. I think that generally this is very good about section. I think short and sweet. I mentioned the technologies, the interests, mentions, volunteering, all good. Featured. So this is, I guess, some examples of coding projects. Also great. Activity. Haven't really posted lately. I would change that. I think that everybody should be posting on LinkedIn. Only, I think, a tiny minority of people who are on LinkedIn do anything there in terms of content. So if you start posting content on LinkedIn, this will immediately put you in the top, 0.001% of users, because I think that almost everybody on LinkedIn is just lurking. So if you start doing something, I think this immediately improves the strength of your profile. especially if you're looking for a better job or if you're looking for other opportunities. This is like an easy way to stand out. LinkedIn is not as saturated with competition, I would say, in terms of content, and the reach and engagement on LinkedIn is much higher. So I think that this is the easiest way to improve your profile. This is very nice. There are media images. There is description of what you're working on, indicate civil service, engineering manager, commissioned officer, education, a lot of certificates. This is great. This makes a great profile. Volunteering at Code Your Future, skills. Perhaps you can get more people to actually endorse you for those skills. Languages and interest. So one thing that I think that you might be able to do, seeing that you already have 5 years of professional experience. So what you might be able to do is actually ask some of your colleagues and the people you have worked with for an endorsement, for a recommendation on your LinkedIn. So when I say recommendation, I mean a thing like this here. So you can ask your colleagues to give you a recommendation. You should give them recommendations too. But this I think would be a nice way to improve your profile and add more content to it. Overall, great job. Okay, let's move to the next one. Oh, this is an impressive profile. So Shai has submitted this profile, and he mentioned that this profile is not hasn't been updated. I think that, I'm not sure, Shai, if you're online, but I think you mentioned that this profile hasn't been updated as much as it should have. But as we can see, there are almost 3,000 followers. There's actually quite a lot of experience, so if you know the things that you haven't still added there, I would recommend that you do. I think the headline here is very nice. So it mentions all the things that you're focused on: entrepreneur, author, blogger, open source hacker, DevRel, Java rockstar, conference speaker, and instructor. This is very cool. Then again, the text, what you're talking about, contact info. You have the creator mode on, so you can also add the link to your website. In the featured, we have blog posts. Then we have links to talks, again, blog posts, talks, and things like that. So if you have experience public speaking, if you have publications, if you have any kind of media appearances at all, you should definitely have them on your profile. I would assume that most people who are watching this wouldn't have, that many public speaking engagements yet. But once you start doing them, and you definitely should do them, you should definitely add all of them to your profile. So what I do, I try to keep this section up to date on my profile as well. So I add all of my appearances on YouTube, or when I do a public speaking engagement, I always add it here as well. So this is definitely a good thing to add. Activity. So Shai is obviously active. Experience section, the about section, sorry. This is very good. This is a very good experience. This is a very good about section. Very detailed, mentions all of the things that you worked on. I think that a nice challenge would be to think of whether you can add achievements in numbers, whether you can add metrics that you have moved with your work, and things like that. I think that this would make it, kind of more tangible, the achievements. I think they tell a good story. But also maybe this is a place where you can add a little bit more personal touch about yourself, about your hobbies, your interests, and kind of what drives you, as a person. In terms of experience, I think that a lot of some information is missing here. So, for instance, this position doesn't have anything. So I think that it would be nice to add more. And here again, I like to see numbers and I like to see achievements in sections, but I think I've already spoken a lot about this today. Education, skills, 99 plus endorsements. That's, I think, the maximum number I've seen on LinkedIn. So I think that it would be nice to have recommendations from other leaders in the industry. I think that this should be probably very easy to get, but it would improve the profile. I think make it better and like more impressive, although it is already a very impressive profile. So I don't know, I'm just not finding any serious things to roast about this here. There are publications, there are projects, really nice. So with projects you can actually add collaborators, which has been done here. Languages and honors. Overall, it is a great profile. I know that there is more that you can add here, but I think that if I didn't know it, I would say that this is an excellent profile, and I'm just kind of, trying to come up with something to say, basically. Right, so we have 2 profiles left, and it's already been almost an hour. This is actually taking much more time than I thought. But if you have, so I won't be able to review any other profiles other than I have planned for. But if you have any questions or follow-ups about anything that I've said, please write them in the chat. I will be able to answer them at the end, while I still review the remaining 2 profiles. Okay, so the profile is for Tyson. We have the picture, we have a background image. It says Lifeline Logistic. I'm really not sure what this means. Is this a company or... Okay, so it's not clear for me what this is. I would try to make the background picture clear so that if I'm just looking at the profile, I can understand what it refers to. So graphic designer, UI UX designer, web development, programming, digital marketing. Good. Then the about section is not there. I think that this is something that you should definitely add. We have talked a lot about the about section today. There are templates online that you can check out for how to write the about section. But basically, depending on it varies quite a lot on what you want to achieve. So some people are actively looking for a job right now. Some people are just kind of casually looking, or maybe they try to create a profile that just looks attractive to recruiters. Maybe somebody would love to connect to them, things like that. So depending on what your goals are, the about section is worded a little bit differently, but I think that the main things to mention there would be your maybe like 3 main achievements in your, so far, then what your professional aspirations are, and something a little bit personal about like what you like, what you're driven by, what your motivation in life is, what your like larger goal in life is. So we've had examples today during this review of, mentioning like how my overarching goal of achieving great things can be used in software development, for instance. So try to think of what your story is and use the inverted pyramid. So what is the most important thing, and kind of then add in more and more details, remembering that the recruiter will probably just have time to read a couple of first sentences, and that's it. So experience section here, honestly, is missing quite a lot of information. You should definitely add more. Here it's looking very empty right now. Education, licenses. It's good that you have taken those courses. There are skills. I'm not really seeing that many coding specific skills. Maybe you can add more. Maybe you can add you can get people to endorse you for the skills and improve their strengths. There are no recommendations. So Tyson, you're a graphic designer, so you probably have a portfolio, I would assume, right? you should display your portfolio somewhere prominently, so you can use a featured section or some other space, but just add a link to your portfolio. You can maybe add a background image with a link to your website, so that if I'm coming to your profile and I see that you're a graphic designer, I can check out your work and can get an understanding of whether I would be interested in working with you or not. So yeah, I think that this is something that is kind of jumping at me right now. Oh, there is a link to Tyson graphic designer, so I didn't notice it. So this is probably your company, right? Okay, so I see that you have a website, your company has a website, but it took me a couple of minutes to understand what's happening. So always when you're designing your profile, think of the end user, and in this case, the end user is actually a very busy recruiter who has a few minutes to look at your profile. So just don't make them look for the stuff and display it permanently. I think the website is not loading. I don't know if it's down or something like that, but in any case, help them find this information quicker. So there is activity. Oh, so actually, Tyson, you are displaying your work here, which is great. You can highlight this content on your profile by, again, if you press here, you will see an option to feature this content on your profile. And then it will be displayed, prominently on your profile. I think that you should definitely do that, because I'm going into the activity section for the purposes of this review, but you shouldn't expect the recruiter to actually go there, and you should just make your achievements on your profile and your portfolio very obvious for them. Right, and we are coming to our last profile. Okay, we're having the profile is for Ibrahim. So I like this background picture. This is something that I think a lot of developers can do. You can just get a stock picture of, coding environment or a screen or something like that. Maybe this is like a real picture, but this is very easy, and it immediately makes the profile look much more professional than it would be without the picture. Okay, so Ibrahim is a software engineer, web developer, front-end developer, Next.js, React, TypeScript. Strong keyword game here as well. There's a link to portfolio. This is what I really like. This is something that I think everybody should do. Have a link to your website very prominently. So I come here, I immediately see the portfolio link, and I go there, and it doesn't work. Or does it? So maybe the link is broken or the website is down. So this is, I think, the first thing that I would fix, because this is, I think, the first thing that the recruiter would click. So you can try to fix that. Okay, featured, I see a couple of examples of your coding projects, right? Yeah, looks like that. Okay, so a couple of coding projects that show your skills. I think that's good. It mentions, again, the technologies. Really like the fact that you are using the keywords. This is great. What I have actually heard recently is that if you're uploading a picture on LinkedIn, or if you're uploading like an image or a video somewhere in the media section, it actually matters what the file is called. And this is the same way, for instance, on YouTube. So if you're uploading something, you can code it, you can name it appropriately, so that the name also includes the appropriate keywords that might help your profile rank a little bit higher. So I wonder what happened here. Why is it all onto the left? Okay, so about section. I'm a front-end web developer with good understanding of interpreting and implementing end-user facing interface from design using JavaScript, TypeScript, HTML, CSS, React, and its ecosystem, and other front-end developer tooling when necessary. I'm a good active team player, a strong believer in growing with the team, and nothing excites me more than outputting amazing solution with the team I'm with. I think that this is a good start. I think that there are some like fluffy words that I'm not such great fan of. So, some words are just a little bit overused. Things like that you're a team player, or maybe like, amazing solution. Like, who defines amazing? So, if possible, I would try to quantify the things that you mentioned. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good start. And experience, you mentioned there is one experience of you being front-end developer on freelance. So you built a dynamic web app. So I know that people mention things like that they were communicating and collaborating with others during the day. I gotta be honest with you, it doesn't really tell me anything. If I'm a recruiter, okay, I see that you collaborated, but it doesn't really tell me much about your, how well you collaborated and how well you communicated. So if you're mentioning things that don't really add any value to whatever you're saying, I would ask myself whether I should mention them as well. Maybe I should mention something else that brings value. So in this case, what I would add are links to the. So you were mentioning that you built an app. So are you able to display the app here in the media attachments? This would be nice. What else? Education, computer science. Okay, so you have quite a lot of skills here. I wonder. I'm not sure I understand this formatting, but I'm not sure whether I'm seeing any endorsements from others. But if you don't have endorsements, you should try to get them as well. The skill assessment, that's good. Overall, it's nice that you have a lot of skills, and also that you have passed a lot of skill assessments. This is something that I recommend to everybody. This is like a quick 15-minute thing that you can do to improve your profile. Okay, we're going further to projects. Again, good that you're using keywords, saying exactly what you built here as well. And there are links to projects. That's nice. Link to your GitHub as well, very nice. So if you're a software engineer, especially a beginner, but not necessarily, you should definitely have this section called projects where you can show your, technical skills with kind of concrete examples of things that you have built. All right, let's see whether Ibrahim is active on LinkedIn. There is some activity, but not that much. So again, this is, I feel like a little bit of like a broken record. But since we're wrapping up, I will repeat myself, and maybe this is something that can be like a takeaway from today. So we can do a lot to optimize the profile for search engines. We can add all the things that I mentioned today. We can add the skills, we can add the certificates, we can get the licenses, we can get like our friends and colleagues to write recommendations for us. And all of this is great. And all of this will help you. But I think that the lowest effort thing with the highest impact that you can get on LinkedIn is actually to start being active there and start contributing. So if you're not ready yet to start posting your own content, then you can engage with someone else's content. You can comment on their posts. You can share their posts with your own thoughts, and just engage with the community. So this is something that will make you more visible to recruiters. You can also follow recruiters on LinkedIn. You can ask them questions there. So a lot of recruiters actually post articles on LinkedIn. You can engage with them there. This is a way to increase your visibility. And just started to think of LinkedIn as a platform for you to publish content and not just scroll and kind of not look at it as a version of your resume, but as a way for you to express your opinions, to grow your audience, and to meet new people. All right, so that were all the profiles I had planned to review today. I wonder if we have any more questions. Okay, we don't have any more questions for today. So I thank you everybody who joined today. I hope this was useful. Let me know later if you have any follow-up questions. We'll be glad to answer them in the future. Let me know if this was useful, if we should do it again at some point in the future. And thank you so much for being together with me here today. Wish you a nice evening.